Olivia Hayes stood at the viewport of the transport ship, watching as the enormous space station grew larger against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars. Her heart beat faster. After 6 months of tests, interviews, and training, she was finally here, the first human accepted to the Galactic Confederation Academy. The transport ship's alien pilot made an announcement in the standard galactic language. After 2 months of intensive study, Olivia could understand most of it. They would dock in 10 minutes. She smoothed down her simple gray uniform and touched the small pin on her collar, the blue and green Earth emblem that marked her as a human. Nervous? Asked a voice beside her. Olivia turned to see a tall, purple-skinned alien with 4 arms. She recognized him as a Valaxian from her species briefing materials. "A little," Olivia admitted. "Don't worry. First years always are." The alien's mouth tentacles wiggled in what Olivia had learned was a friendly gesture. "I'm Zex, 3rd-year tactical student. Olivia Hayes, Earth." Zex's large eyes blinked rapidly. "The Deathworlder? You're smaller than I expected." Olivia had heard this before. Earth was classified as a death world, a planet with high gravity, dangerous atmospheric conditions, and abundant predators. Most Confederation species evolved on safer worlds with fewer threats. "We come in different sizes," she said with a small smile. Zex kept a careful distance as they talked. Olivia was used to this too. Humans were known for their strength, endurance, and what the Confederation called aggressive unpredictability. These traits had both fascinated and frightened the galactic community since Earth joined the Confederation 3 years ago. The ship docked with a soft thump. Olivia grabbed her duffel bag, noticing how Zex and the other aliens used mechanical assistance for their luggage while she carried hers easily. "Good luck, Deathworlder," Zex said as they parted. "You'll need it." The docking bay was full of activity. Cadets from dozens of species moved in groups toward the processing area. Olivia noticed how conversation stopped when she passed. Eyes, stalks, and sensory organs turned to follow her. A holographic sign directed first-year cadets to a large chamber where orientation would begin. Olivia followed the arrows, keeping her face neutral despite the stares. Her military training back on Earth had prepared her for this moment. She was not just a cadet. She was Earth's ambassador. The orientation room was designed to accommodate many different species. There were standard seats for humanoid bodies, low cushions for the serpentine races, hanging perches for the avians, and shallow pools for the semi-aquatic species. Olivia chose a standard seat near the back and watched as the room filled. No one sat near her. The empty seats around her formed a perfect circle, as if she had a force field. "Is this seat taken?" a soft voice asked. Olivia looked up to see a slender, pale blue alien with large silver eyes. Her species briefing identified her as a Phasian, a telepathic race from a low-gravity world. "It's free," Olivia said, trying to sound friendly. The Phasian hesitated, then sat down. "I'm Ziltara, first-year medical track." Olivia Hayes, security and defense track. Ziltara's silver eyes widened. "You're the human." "That's me. I've never met a Deathworlder before." Ziltara's voice was curious but nervous. "Is it true you can break bones with your bare hands?" Olivia sighed. "Only in emergencies." This made Ziltara laugh, a tinkling sound like small bells. "You're joking." Instructor Krelzer said humans use humor as a social bonding mechanism. "Guilty as charged," Olivia said. Their conversation was interrupted as the lights dimmed and a holographic image appeared at the center of the room. It showed a tall, gray-skinned alien with ridge-like features and a military bearing. The room immediately fell silent. "Welcome, cadets. I am Grand Admiral Vox of the Galactic Confederation Defense Force. Today, You join the proud tradition of the Confederation Academy, where the best and brightest from all worlds train to protect our united future. The hologram changed to show images of the Academy's history, graduating classes, famous battles, scientific achievements. For 2,000 years, this Academy has prepared officers to serve with honor. You represent over 50 species from across the galaxy, each bringing unique strengths to our community. The Admiral's eyes seem to find Olivia in the crowd. This year marks a historic first, our inaugural human cadet. The admission of Earth to our ranks represents our commitment to diversity and strength through unity. Murmurs spread through the room. Olivia kept her expression neutral, though she felt hundreds of eyes on her. The hologram faded and was replaced by a living alien, a stocky, reptilian being with scarred scales and sharp eyes. He wore a black uniform with gold markings. I am Instructor Krelzer. You will report to me for basic training assessment tomorrow at first bell. My job is to determine if you are worthy of continuing at this academy. His eyes scanned the room and stopped on Olivia. Cadet Hayes, stand. Olivia stood, back straight, chin up. The room was completely silent. You are the human representative? Yes, instructor. Your species has an impressive military history. Almost constant warfare. Very unusual for a civilization that survived to reach space. Olivia remained silent, recognizing this wasn't a question. Tell me, Cadet Hayes, why should a species with such violent tendencies be trusted in our peaceful confederation? The room was so quiet, Olivia could hear the breathing of the aliens around her. She thought carefully before answering. Our history taught us the value of peace, instructor. We fight to protect, not conquer. Krelzer's scales shifted in what might have been amusement. Pretty words. We shall see if actions match them. Sit down, Deathworlder. The orientation continued with other instructors explaining academy rules, schedules, and expectations. Olivia listened carefully, but was aware of whispers around her. When the session ended, cadets were directed to their assigned quarters. Olivia checked her datapad and found her room number. We're roommates, Zeltara said, looking at her own pad. Her voice carried a mix of fear and excitement. They walked together through the curved corridors of the station. Other cadets gave them a wide berth. They're afraid of you, Zeltara said quietly. Are you? Olivia asked. Zeltara was quiet for a moment. Yes, but I'm also curious. My people value understanding other minds. Yours is ... different. Strong, loud. You can read my thoughts? Olivia asked, alarmed. No. Just emotional impressions. You broadcast very powerfully. Most species in the Confederation have some telepathic shielding. Humans don't. They reached their quarters, a small room with 2 beds, 2 desks, and a shared hygiene facility. The room had already been adjusted for Earth standard gravity in Olivia's half. While Zeltara's side was set to the lower gravity of her homeworld. Olivia put her bag down and sat on her bed. She felt the weight of the day pressing on her. She was alone, the only human among thousands of aliens, representing her entire species. Zeltara sat on her own bed, watching Olivia with those large silver eyes. You feel ... determined, she said. Olivia nodded. I have to succeed. For Earth, that's a heavy burden for one person. We humans are stronger than we look, Olivia said with a small smile. Zeltara's skin color shifted slightly, showing blue-green patterns. Perhaps that's why they call you Deathworlders. As night cycle began on the station, Olivia lay in her bed, listening to the soft breathing of her alien roommate. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. She would face them all. She had to. The future relationship between Earth and the Galactic Confederation might depend on it. She closed her eyes and whispered the marine motto she had lived by since enlistment. Adapt, overcome, survive. The first bell rang through the Academy living quarters. A soft chiming sound grew louder until Olivia opened her eyes. She had been awake for 20 minutes already, doing silent push-ups on the floor beside her bed. Old habits from Earth. Military training died hard. Across the room, Ziltara sat up in bed, her silver eyes blinking slowly. "You exercise immediately upon waking?" she asked, her voice full of wonder. "Every day," Olivia said, standing up. She wasn't even breathing. "Hard after 50 push-ups. Basic training starts in 1 hour. The mess hall should be open for morning nutrition." The two cadets dressed in their training uniforms, light gray with colored stripes indicating their study tracks. Olivia's had red stripes for security and defense, while Ziltara's had green for medical. The mess hall was a large open space with different feeding stations for various species' dietary needs. Olivia joined the line for protein-based omnivores. The food looked strange: purple meat substitute, orange grain, and blue fruit, but her orientation materials assured her it was safe for human consumption. As she carried her tray to a table, she noticed other cadets watching her. A group of tall, insectoid aliens whispered among themselves, their antennae twitching. "They're surprised by how much you're eating," Ziltara said, as she sat down with a small bowl of glowing liquid. "Most species don't require so much energy." Olivia looked at her tray, piled with food. Human metabolism. "We burn a lot of calories, especially during physical activity." A shadow fell across their table. Olivia looked up to see 3 cadets standing there. The one in front was tall with red scales and yellow eyes, a Drakari, one of the Confederation's warrior species. His uniform had the blue stripes of command track. So it's true. "They let a Deathworlder in this year," he said, his voice a low hiss. "I'm Drex, 3rd year. These are Mok and Ziv." He gestured to his companions, a 4-armed Verlaxian and a chrome-skinned android-like being. "Olivia Hayes, 1st year." "We know who you are," Drex said. "Everyone knows. The dangerous human experiment." "I'm not dangerous unless provoked," Olivia said calmly. Drex's scales rippled in what might have been amusement. "We'll see about that in basic training. Instructor Krelzer doesn't go easy on anyone, especially not curiosities." They moved away, but not before Mok accidentally bumped Olivia's tray, spilling some of her food. "Careful, human. You might need your strength today," he said with a laugh. Ziltara's skin had paled to an almost white color. "The Drakari don't like competition. Their species held the top physical performance records for decades." "I'm not here to break records," Olivia said, cleaning up the spill. "I'm here to learn." Basic training took place in an enormous chamber that could be configured for different gravity, atmosphere, and terrain settings. Today it was set to neutral standards, moderate gravity, and a flat, cushioned surface. Instructor Krelzer stood in the center, watching as the first-year cadets assembled in neat rows. There were about 40 of them from various species. Olivia was the only human. "Today we assess your physical capabilities," Krelzer announced. "The Confederation Defense Force requires officers who can function in various environments and situations. We begin with endurance. The first test was simple: run laps around the chamber until you couldn't continue." Olivia started at an easy pace, keeping herself in the middle of the pack. By the 5th lap, several cadets had already stopped, their bodies not built for sustained running. By the 10th lap, only 10 remained. "The human is still running," someone whispered from the sidelines. Olivia maintained her pace. She wasn't even breathing hard yet. Her Earth military training had included 10-mile runs in full gear. This was nothing. By the 20th lap, only Olivia and Drex remained. The Drakari was showing signs of fatigue. His breathing labored. Olivia could have easily passed him, but she held back, keeping pace instead. On the 25th lap, Drex stumbled and stopped, his chest heaving. Olivia completed one more lap, and then stopped too, not wanting to show off. Interesting, Krelzer said, making notes on his datapad. Cadet Hayes, you could have continued, yes? Yes, instructor. Honesty. Good. Next test. The day continued with tests of strength, flexibility, reaction time, and coordination. Olivia excelled at most of them, though some of the more flexible species outperformed her in dexterity tests. What surprised the instructors most was her recovery time. She barely needed rest between activities. The final test of the day was swimming. The chamber transformed into a pool of clear liquid. Standard water, Krelzer explained. For some of you, this is your natural environment. For others, a challenge. You will swim from one end to the other and back. Those who cannot swim may use the flotation devices. When it was Olivia's turn, she dove in smoothly and swam with powerful strokes. Humans weren't the best swimmers in the galaxy, but she had trained as a lifeguard during her school years. She made the turn at the far end and was halfway back when she realized something was wrong. The water had changed color slightly, becoming more green than blue. Her arms began to feel heavy. Some kind of sedative in the water, she realized. Test within a test. Gritting her teeth, she pushed harder, fighting the growing numbness. She touched the edge of the pool and pulled herself out, shaking water from her hair. Cadet Hayes, Krelzer said, looking at his datapad with surprise. You were exposed to a mild sedative that should have rendered you unconscious after 30 seconds of exposure. You swam for nearly 2 minutes. Humans have high chemical resistance, sir, Olivia said. Part of evolving on a death world with many natural toxins. A murmur went through the watching cadets. Olivia noticed Drex staring at her with narrowed eyes. Later, in the decontamination chamber, Ziltara found her. You impressed everyone today, she said. Even Instructor Krelzer, though he wouldn't admit it. I was just doing my best, Olivia said. The others are talking about you. Some with respect, some with fear. And Drex? Ziltara's skin darkened. His emotions are ... complex. Pride, anger, curiosity. The Drokari don't like being outperformed. That evening, Olivia entered the academies. Knowledge Center to study Confederation protocols. As she walked between the data terminals, she noticed other cadets moving away, creating a bubble of space around her. Don't take it personally, said a voice. A small, furry alien with large eyes looked up at her from a nearby terminal. I'm Pick, engineering track. They're just not used to a species that can break their bones by accident. I wouldn't do that, Olivia said. They don't know that yet. Pick's whiskers twitched. Give them time. When I first arrived, everyone thought Meridians were thieves because of our small hands. Now I have friends from 20 different worlds. Olivia smiled. Thanks. Pick, as she walked back to her quarters later, Olivia felt something had changed. The stares followed her still, but they were different now. Less fear, more curiosity. It was a start dot in her room. She found Ziltara sitting cross-legged on her bed, eyes closed in meditation. Your day was successful, Ziltara said without opening her eyes. Your emotions are ... satisfied. One day down, Olivia said, sitting on her own bed. Just 1,000 more to go. That night, as she drifted off to sleep, Olivia thought about home, the blue skies of Earth, the weight of real gravity, the familiar faces of other humans. It seemed so far away now. But she was here for a reason. To prove that humans belonged among the stars. And today, she had taken the first small step toward that goal. 3 months passed at the Galactic Confederation Academy. Olivia settled into a routine of classes, training, and study. The other cadets no longer stared when she entered a room. Some even sat with her during meals. Progress slow but steady. Ziltara had become a true friend. The telepathic alien helped Olivia understand the complex social rules of the different species. In return, Olivia taught her Earth customs, and even some human fighting techniques, adapted for Ziltara's lighter frame. One morning, instructor Krelzer made an announcement that sent excitement through the first-year cadets. "Tomorrow begins the combat simulation training," he said, his scaled face serious. "You will form teams and compete in scenarios designed to test your tactical thinking and teamwork. The simulations use stun weapons that cause temporary pain, but no lasting damage." Olivia felt a mix of excitement and worry. This was the kind of training she excelled at back on Earth. But how would the other cadets react to having a human on their team? "Teams will be assigned randomly," Krelzer continued. "Report to Training Dome C at first bell tomorrow." Dismissed. As the cadets filed out, Pick bounced up beside Olivia. The small Meridian engineer had become another friend over the past months. "Combat sims? Finally something interesting," he chittered. "I heard the third years talk about them. The stun weapons feel like a mild electric shock. Unpleasant, but not dangerous. For most species," Ziltara added quietly. "Olivia, I've been reading about human physiology. Your nervous system processes pain differently than ours." "I'll be fine," Olivia assured her. "I've done plenty of combat training with shock weapons." That evening, Olivia checked her datapad to find her team assignment. Her heart sank when she saw the list. She was teamed with 4 cadets she barely knew, including Mawk, one of Drex's friends. Drex himself was on a different team, along with Ziv. "This could be difficult," Ziltara said, reading over her shoulder. "Mawk doesn't like you." "Then I'll just have to change his mind," Olivia replied. The next morning, Olivia arrived early at Training Dome C. It was an enormous chamber with movable walls, barriers, and obstacles that could create countless battlefield scenarios. Other cadets arrived in groups, finding their teammates and discussing strategy. Olivia spotted Mawk with 3 other aliens, a tall, plant-like Florian, a bulky crustacean Krex, and a hovering gas-filled Aerobian. She approached them with a friendly smile. "Team 5? She asked. "Great. We got the human," Mawk said, his forearms crossing in front of his chest. "Try not to break anything, Deathworlder." "I'm here to help us win," Olivia said evenly. "Do we have a plan?" The Florian, named Vex, stepped forward. "I've been in these simulations before, during Academy Prep. The goal is usually to capture an objective while avoiding enemy fire. Those hit by stun weapons are out of the game." "We should use your strength," the Krex suggested, clicking his claws. "You're more resistant to the stun weapons, right?" Olivia shrugged. "I don't know. I've never been hit by one of these specific weapons." "Well, we'll find out soon enough," Mawk said. "You take point, human. The rest of us will follow and provide covering fire." Instructor Krelzer's voice boomed through the dome. "Teams, prepare for simulation. This exercise simulates a data retrieval mission. Each team must locate and retrieve a data crystal from the center of the dome and return it to their starting point. Enemy teams will try to stop you. Begin on the signal." A loud tone sounded, and the teams rushed into the maze-like structure that had formed in the center of the dome. Olivia led her team cautiously, checking corners and potential ambush points as they moved. "Movement ahead," whispered the Aerobian, who could see heat signatures through thin walls. Olivia signaled for the team to stop and take cover. Seconds later, 2 cadets from Team 3 passed by their position. Mawk and Vex fired their stun weapons, hitting both opponents. The cadets yelped in pain and their weapons deactivated, indicating they were out of the game. "Nice work," Olivia said. Malk looked surprised at the compliment, but not a dot. They continued toward the center of the dome. 2 more teams crossed their path, and they managed to eliminate several more opponents while losing only the Aerobian to return fire. Finally, they reached the central chamber, where a glowing crystal sat on a pedestal. "Too easy," muttered the Krex. "It's a trap." He was right. As Olivia stepped forward to retrieve the crystal, stun fire erupted from multiple positions. She felt a sharp sting on her arm, but kept moving, diving behind a barrier. Olivia's hit. Vex called out. "I'm fine," she replied, checking her weapon. It was still active. The stun charge hadn't been strong enough to take her out of the game. Interesting. More fire came from the right side. Olivia spotted Drex and Ziv, leading their team in a coordinated attack. They had set up the ambush well. "Cover me," she told her remaining teammates. Then she sprinted toward the pedestal, zigzagging to avoid enemy fire. A stun blast caught her in the leg. It hurt like a strong static shock, but she kept running. She grabbed the crystal and rolled behind a column just as more blasts hit the spot where she had been standing. "She's still active," she heard Drex yell. "How is that possible?" Olivia's team provided covering fire as she made her way back to them, crystal in hand. "You've been hit twice," Malk said in disbelief. "Why aren't you out?" "Human endurance," Olivia said with a grin. "Let's get this back to our starting point." They began fighting their way back through the dome. Vex went down to enemy fire, leaving just Olivia, Malk, and the Krex. They were almost to their extraction point when they found themselves cornered by Drex's team. "End of the line," Drex called out. He was holding a stun weapon that looked different from the others, modified somehow. "Give up the crystal. That's against the rules," Malk protested. "So is sending a Deathworlder to the Academy," Drex replied. "Some rules need to be broken." He fired at Olivia. The blast hit her square in the chest. This time, the pain was much worse, like a genuine electric shock that made her muscles spasm. She fell to one knee, but remained conscious. "How are you?" "Still standing?" Drex demanded. He fired again, hitting her shoulder. 3 hits. The pain was intense now, radiating through her body. But instead of knocking her out, it triggered something deep in Olivia's biology, the fight-or-flight response that had helped humans survive on their dangerous home planet for thousands of years. Her vision sharpened. Time seemed to slow down. Her muscles filled with adrenaline. With a growl that sounded barely human, Olivia lunged forward. Drex and his team fired again, but she was moving too fast now. She reached the nearest wall, actually a door to a small equipment room, and, in her adrenaline-fueled state, grabbed the edge with both hands. Metal screamed. Bolts popped from their housings. With strength she didn't know she possessed, Olivia ripped the door completely off its hinges. The entire simulation dome went silent. Every cadet, even those who had been eliminated, stared in shock. Olivia stood there, breathing hard, a 300-pound metal door held in her hands like a shield. "Simulation terminated," came Instructor Krelzer's voice over the speakers. "All cadets report to the main hall immediately." Olivia slowly put down the door, the adrenaline fading. She looked at the twisted metal hinges, then at her hands. What had she done? Malk and the Krex were staring at her with wide eyes. Even Drex seemed speechless. I didn't mean to break it," Olivia said quietly. But an alarm began to sound throughout the academy. Red lights flashed in the corridors. "Security. Alert. All personnel remain in place," announced a computerized voice. "Containment protocol initiated." Olivia realized with a sinking feeling that the containment was meant for her. The Academy saw her as a threat now. One human cadet who, when shot 3 times, didn't fall down as expected, but instead ripped a door off its hinges. Olivia sat alone in a small room with reinforced walls. They had taken her weapon, datapad, and even her uniform insignia. The room contained only a simple chair and table, both bolted to the floor. A security field hummed at the doorway. 3 hours had passed since the incident in the training dome. 3 hours of sitting, waiting, and wondering if her brief time at the academy was over. The security field flickered and disappeared. Instructor Krelzer entered, followed by 2 security officers. His scaled face revealed nothing of his thoughts. "Cadet Hayes," he said, standing across the table from her. "Do you understand why you are here?" "Because I destroyed Academy property." "Sir," Olivia replied, "the training room door." "That is one reason," Krelzer said. "The other is that you demonstrated physical capabilities beyond what was disclosed in your application." "With respect, sir, I didn't know I could do that." Olivia kept her voice calm. It was an instinctive reaction to pain and threat. Krelzer's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "Humans have a physiological response called the fight or flight reaction. When we experience extreme stress, pain, or fear, our bodies release chemicals that temporarily enhance our strength and speed. It's an evolutionary adaptation from Earth's high-threat environment. And this ... reaction allows you to tear through metal?" Krelzer sounded skeptical. "Not normally, no. But the modified stun weapons Drex and his team used were much stronger than regulation." Olivia looked directly at Krelzer. "They shot me 3 times at close range. The pain triggered an extreme response." Krelzer's scales shifted slightly. "How did you know the weapons were modified?" "Standard stun weapons didn't affect me the same way. And I heard Drex say they had to break the rules." The door opened again. A tall, elegant alien with gold skin and silver markings entered. Olivia recognized her as Administrator Salara, the Academy's civilian director. "Instructor, the council is ready," she said. Krelzer nodded. "Cadet Hayes, you will appear before the Disciplinary Council to determine your future at this academy. Follow me." They led Olivia through empty corridors. The normal bustle of cadet life was absent. She realized they had probably confined all students to quarters during her transport. They arrived at a large chamber where 7 aliens sat behind a curved table. Olivia recognized some of them as department heads and senior instructors. In the center sat Grand Admiral Vox, whose hologram had welcomed them on the first day. "Cadet Olivia Hayes," Administrator Salara announced. "First year, security track, representing Earth." Olivia stood at attention, hands at her sides. The council members studied her with expressions ranging from curiosity to thinly veiled fear. "Cadet Hayes," Admiral Vox began, "you have been brought before this council to address a serious incident. The destruction of Academy property and the display of physical capabilities that present a potential safety risk to other cadets." "I understand, sir," Olivia said. "Before we begin, we have a witness who has asked to speak." Vox nodded to a guard, who opened a side door. To Olivia's surprise, Ziltara entered. The Asian looked nervous but determined. "This is Cadet Ziltara, first year, medical track," Vox explained. "She has information relevant to this case." Ziltara stood beside Olivia, her silver eyes darting around the room. "Honored Council, as a Thasian, I can sense emotional states of other beings. I was not present during the incident, but I examined Cadet Hayes immediately after, when security brought her to the medical bay before transferring her to containment." Ziltara took a deep breath. "I can confirm that she did not intend to cause damage or harm. Her emotional state was one of shock, followed by regret. There was no aggression toward other cadets, only a protective instinct." A council member with multiple eye stalks leaned forward. "Can you verify if the human was in control of her actions?" "Not entirely," Ziltara admitted. The intensity of her emotional response suggests an instinctive reaction, not a calculated one. "Thank you, Cadet," Vox said. "You may return to your quarters." Ziltara gave Olivia a quick glance before leaving. Her skin had flashed a pattern that Olivia had learned meant courage, invasion, emotional language. The doors opened again. This time, a human man in an Earth military uniform entered. He was tall with short gray hair and a weathered face. The insignia on his collar marked him as a senior officer. "Admiral Vox," the man said with a nod. "Commander Ben Miller, Earth. Defense Force Liaison to the Confederation." Olivia's eyes widened. She hadn't known there was an Earth officer stationed at the Academy. "Commander Miller," Vox acknowledged. "You wish to address the Council regarding Cadet Hayes?" "I do." Miller stood beside Olivia. "First, I should clarify something. Earth was fully transparent about human physiological capabilities in our application. To join the Confederation, and in Cadet Hayes' Academy application, he activated a data pad, projecting information into the air before the Council. These documents detail human strength parameters, including increased capabilities under stress conditions. This information was provided 6 months ago." A murmur ran through the Council members. Vox's expression darkened. "Furthermore," Miller continued, "analysis of the modified stun weapons confirms they were set to 3 times the regulation intensity. This is a clear violation of Academy safety protocols." "That matter will be addressed separately," Vox said. "Cadet Trex and his teammates are being questioned. With respect, Admiral, the matters are connected." Miller's voice was firm. Cadet Hayes responded to an attack with weapons modified to cause exceptional pain. Her reaction, while dramatic, was defensive and instinctive. Vox studied Miller for a long moment. "Commander, you seem remarkably well prepared for this hearing, almost as if you expected this incident." Miller's face remained neutral. Earth anticipated that human physiological differences might cause misunderstandings. I was stationed here to help address such situations, or to observe how we would handle them, said a council member with metallic skin. The room fell silent. Olivia suddenly understood. Earth had sent her as a test subject to see how the Confederation would treat a human when faced with their physical differences. "Is this true?" she asked Miller quietly. "Later, Cadet," he replied under his breath. Admiral Vox stood. "This council will recess to review the new information. Cadet Hayes will remain in custody until a decision is reached." As guards prepared to escort Olivia back to the holding room, the main doors burst open. A tall, imposing alien with ornate silver robes entered. The council members immediately stood in respect. "High Admiral Zenith," Vox said, surprise evident in his voice. "We were not informed of your visit." "Because it was not planned," the newcomer said. His voice was deep and resonant. "I came when I received word of this ... incident." "High Admiral." Zenith, the Supreme Commander of the Confederation Defense Force, looked directly at Olivia. "So this is the human cadet?" "Yes, sir," Vox replied. "And she tore a security door from its mounting after being attacked with illegal weapons." Zenith's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "Interesting." He turned to the council. "I will speak with the human and Commander Miller privately. This hearing is suspended until tomorrow." The council members looked surprised, but did not object. No one argued with the High Admiral. Zenith led Olivia and Miller to a small meeting room nearby. Once the door closed, he turned to them. "Commander Miller, I believe it's time for honesty," Zenith said. "Earth has been testing us, just as we have been testing you." Miller nodded slowly. "High Admiral, we suspected the Confederation had concerns about human integration. When Cadet Hayes was accepted, we saw an opportunity to observe how those concerns would manifest. And we," Zenith said, wanted to assess the true capabilities of humans in stress situations. Olivia looked between them, stunned. You're saying both sides set this up? I was just a guinea pig? Not exactly, Miller said gently. You were selected because of your exceptional record and control. We believed you could handle whatever challenges arose. And now, Zenith said, turning to Olivia, we face a decision. The question is not whether Cadet Hayes should remain at the Academy. The question is whether humans and the Confederation can truly work together, knowing what we now know about each other. Olivia stood before the full Academy assembly the next day. The large chamber was packed with cadets, instructors, and officials. At the front sat the Disciplinary Council, with High Admiral Zenith and Admiral Vox in the center. Commander Miller stood to one side, his face impassive. After a night of little sleep and much thought, Olivia had made her decision. She would not be anyone's test subject or political pawn. She would speak for herself. Cadet Olivia Hayes. Admiral Vox began. This council has reviewed all evidence regarding yesterday's incident. Before we announce our decision, do you wish to make a statement? I do, sir, Olivia said. Her voice carried clearly through the silent hall. She took a deep breath and looked out at the sea of alien faces. Somewhere in the crowd, she spotted Ziltara's blue skin and Pick's furry head. Even Drex was there, his scales a duller red than usual. 3 months ago, I arrived at this academy as the first human cadet. I knew it would be difficult. I knew there would be fear and misunderstanding. But I came anyway, because Earth and the Confederation need to learn to work together. Olivia glanced at Commander Miller, then back to the Council. Yesterday, I learned that both Earth and the Confederation have been using my presence here as a test. Earth wanted to see how you would treat a human. The Confederation wanted to see what humans are capable of. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some cadets looked surprised. Others nodded as if confirming suspicions. I understand why both sides felt this was necessary. Trust between different species doesn't come easily. But tests like these only build walls, not bridges. Olivia squared her shoulders and continued. Yes, humans are physically stronger than many Confederation species. Yes, we evolved on what you call a death world. Our bodies can do things yours cannot, but that's only one small part of who we are. She gestured to the crowd. In my time here, I've learned about all of you too. Thasians can sense emotions we can't even name. Aerobians can see through solid objects. Florians can communicate with plant life across vast distances. Every species has unique abilities and perspectives. That's what makes the Confederation strong. Olivia looked directly at High Admiral Zenith. I didn't come here to prove humans are powerful. I came to learn how we can contribute to something greater than ourselves. If you want to know what humans are truly capable of, don't push. Use until we break things. Ask us to help you build things instead. The room was completely silent now. Even the council members seemed taken aback by her directness. As for yesterday's incident, Olivia continued, I take full responsibility for damaging Academy property. I will accept whatever consequences the Council deems appropriate. But I ask you to consider that strength controlled is better than strength feared. She fell silent and stood at attention. Waiting. High Admiral Zenith leaned forward, his multiple eyes focused on her. Well spoken, Cadet Hayes. He turned to the Council. I believe we should hear from the other party involved before making our decision. At his gesture, guards brought forward Drex and his teammates. A Drakari cadet looked nervous, his usual confidence gone. Cadet Drex, Zenith said, you modified Academy training weapons to deliver excessive force, specifically targeting. Cadet Hayes, do you deny this? Drex's scales rippled with emotion. No, High Admiral. I do not deny it. Explain your actions. Drex glanced at Olivia before answering. I wanted to prove that humans don't belong here, that they're too dangerous, too unpredictable. And did yesterday's events confirm your belief? Zenith asked. Drex was silent for a moment. No, High Admiral. When Cadet Hayes could have attacked us after we shot her, she didn't. She only tried to protect herself and her team. This admission seemed to cost Drex greatly. His scales had dulled to an ashen color. Zenith nodded. The Council has reached its decision. Cadet Drex and his teammates will be placed on probation for 1 full academy year. They will also assist in repairs to the training facility. He turned to Olivia. Cadet Hayes will remain at the academy. Relief washed through Olivia. She was not being expelled. However, Zenith continued, in light of the revelations about Earth and Confederation testing, we must address the larger issue at hand. He stood, his tall form commanding attention from everyone in the room. For too long, the Confederation has approached new species with caution bordering on suspicion. We have forgotten that diversity of biology and thought is our greatest strength. Today, that changes. Zenith gestured to Olivia. Cadet Hayes will help develop new training protocols for species with different physical capabilities. And I am authorizing the immediate acceptance of 10 additional human cadets to the next academy class. Surprised whispers spread through the crowd. Commander Miller's eyebrows raised slightly. Even he hadn't expected this. Furthermore, Zenith continued, I propose an exchange program. 10 Academy cadets will study on Earth for 1 year, while 10 Earth students will join us. Here, only through direct experience can we truly understand each other. The assembly broke into discussion. Many cadets looked excited at the prospect of visiting Earth. Others seemed uncertain. As the formal proceedings concluded, Olivia found herself surrounded by fellow cadets. Ziltara reached her first, her skin glowing with bright patterns. You were amazing, she said. I've never heard anyone speak to the High Admiral like that. Pick bounced excitedly around them. 10 more humans. And a chance to visit Earth. Do you think I could go? Before Olivia could answer, the crowd parted. Drex stood before her, his teammates hanging back. Cadet Hayes, he said formally. I apologize for my actions. They were dishonorable. Olivia studied him for a moment. Apology accepted, Cadet Drex. Perhaps we could train together sometime, properly. Surprise flickered across his scaled face, followed by a cautious nod. Commander Miller approached next, a rare smile on his weathered face. Well done, Cadet. Not exactly how we planned this mission to go, but I'd say the outcome is better than we hoped. Thank you, sir. Though I'd appreciate knowing the full mission parameters next time. Miller chuckled. Fair enough. The next few days were busy. Olivia helped the engineering team understand how to strengthen training equipment to withstand greater force. She began working with Instructor Krelzer on modified training programs for species with different physical capabilities. And she started a voluntary class on human culture and history for curious cadets. The sessions were always full. 6 months. Later, Olivia stood in the same docking bay where she had first arrived, waiting as a transport ship connected to the station. The doors opened to reveal 10 nervous-looking humans in cadet uniforms. Welcome to the Galactic Confederation Academy, she said with a smile. I'm Senior Cadet Olivia Hayes, your orientation guide. A young man with wide eyes stepped forward. Is it true what they say? That you ripped a door off its hinges after being shot 3 times? Olivia laughed. That's a story for another time. First, let me introduce you to some friends. She gestured to the group behind her, Ziltara, Pick, and yes, even Drex, who had become a reluctant ally in recent months. As she led the new human cadets into the station, Olivia noticed the differences from her own arrival. There were no fearful stares or whispers, Just curious looks and a few friendly waves from alien cadets. The Academy had changed. She had changed. And somewhere in the vast space between Earth and the stars, humans were finding their place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or curiosities, but as partners. A Deathworlder species with the strength to tear doors from hinges. Yes, but also with the wisdom to build bridges instead.